Poor countries that beat giants. Imagine a country with less money than many US states, few facilities, few resources, a small population. Now imagine that same country defeating a global powerhouse. It sounds impossible, but it happens all the time, in politics, in economics, and especially in sports. While giant nations invest billions to win, some small countries simply show up and change history. And the most surprising part? Many of them weren't even expected to compete. Today, we're going to look at some of the poorest countries that managed to defeat giants and prove that money doesn't always buy victory. And some of these stories sound like something straight out of a movie. Section 1. The Big Myth. There's an idea that almost everyone believes. If a country is rich, it wins. If it's poor, it loses. In theory, that makes sense. More money means better stadiums, better coaches, better technology, better preparation. But there's one small problem. Games aren't decided on spreadsheets. They're decided on the field. You know how it is. Nobody asks about the size of your economy when the referee blows the opening whistle. And that's exactly where the magic happens. Section 2. Iceland shocks Europe. Let's start with one of the most unbelievable examples. Iceland, a country with just over 300,000 people. That's fewer people than many mid-sized cities. Yet in Euro 2016, they faced England, the nation that invented modern football, a team full of stars, a team worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The result? Iceland won. Yes, a country so small that almost everyone knows each other defeated one of the biggest powers in sports. And here's where it gets interesting. The victory wasn't luck. It came from organization, discipline, and a simple belief. If they could get there, they could beat anyone. Section 3. Senegal versus the world champions. Now, let's go back to 2002. France was the reigning World Cup champion. They had some of the best players on the planet. Everyone expected an easy victory. On the other side stood Senegal, a team making its World Cup debut. Little experience, little tradition, no expectations. It sounds simple, but it wasn't. Senegal won 1-0 in the opening match of the tournament. The entire world was stunned. It was like watching a small boat overtake a battleship. And suddenly, everyone realized that the World Cup doesn't follow a script. Section 4. Costa Rica's miracle. Then came another shock in 2014. Costa Rica landed in what many considered an impossible group. England, Italy, Uruguay. 3 former world champions. Costa Rica was seen as nothing more than a participant. Almost nobody believed they would advance, so they did something even better. They finished first. Yes, first place. In practice, they turned the so-called group of death into a nightmare for the favorites. It became one of the greatest surprises in modern football history, and honestly, it still feels unbelievable. Section 5. Money isn't everything, but why does this happen? Because money helps, a lot, but it guarantees nothing. A wealthy team may have the best tools available, but it still has to perform. It still needs strategy. It still needs teamwork. And it still has to deal with pressure. And pressure is something that even billions of dollars can't eliminate. Sometimes the favorite enters the game already thinking it has won, and that's usually the first mistake. Section 6. The power of hunger. There's another advantage that underdogs have. Hunger, not for food, a hunger to prove something. When a small country steps onto the field, nobody expects anything from them. There is no massive pressure, no obligation, only opportunity. And that can be incredibly dangerous for the favorites. Because while one side is afraid of losing, the other is willing to risk everything to win. Section 7. Why we love these stories. Maybe that's why these stories never get old. Everyone loves watching a giant fall. Not because we hate the favorites, but because we love the idea that the impossible still exists. That a small group of people can challenge overwhelming odds. That effort, organization, and courage can still change the outcome, even when the statistics say otherwise. #conclusion. So the next time someone tells you that money decides everything, remember these stories. Iceland, Senegal, Costa Rica, countries that didn't have the biggest economies or the greatest resources, but still found a way to win, because at the end of the day, giants seem unbeatable, right up until the moment they fall. And what about you? What's the biggest sports upset you've ever seen? If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more stories like this.